You react to every single insult. Your emotional outbursts instantly expose your deep vulnerability. You are just a loud, predictable puppet trapped in a pathetic loop.
Seneca called this behavior pure slavery. Anger and haste are the cheap weapons of weak men. This dangerous diagnosis is directly about you and your choices.
Your brain craves the illusion of control. This pathetic pride aggressively destroys your future right now. It liquidates ordinary men before they even realize it. It crushes global empires into cold dust. You are blindly building your own psychological ruins. You desperately need a different law to survive.
Seneca sealed this absolute reality with a rule. Calmness is power. This law is the invisible leverage of true masters. Now I will show you the ultimate proof of this rule.
Welcome to the year 1940. We are entering the darkest fires of World War II. Witness the blood-written execution of this ancient law.
Great Britain fell into an existential trap. They were facing the absolute peak of Nazi terror. Europe was crumbling into deep darkness all around them. Terror consumed the minds of terrified politicians. London was desperately begging to surrender to Hitler. Fear was writing the final destiny of a dying nation.
Winston Churchill stood up entirely alone. He descended into the dark concrete of his underground bunker. He chose a dangerous, ancient strategy instead of modern panic.
Churchill lit his cigar in absolute silence. He practiced the ultimate, unspoken rule of power in the dark. Calmness is a death sentence for your chaotic enemy. Nazi bombers viciously tore through the city. The sky became a roaring sea of fire under a bloody moon. Hitler expected a frantic, panicked reaction from the Prime Minister. Churchill offered them absolute nothingness instead. He controlled his heart rate while buildings shattered into mud. He completely refused to give them a dramatic response.
Seneca's blade silently began its psychological torture. German pilots grew frustrated, exhausted, and deeply confused. They were burning critical resources against an unreadable wall.
True calmness is a predatory suspension of action. Churchill froze the war cabinet until the enemy lost their breath. The roaring momentum of the Reich dissolved into desperation. Hitler's screaming theatrical rage failed completely. British planes struck back with cold, mathematical precision. The invincible Nazi Blitzkrieg strategy collapsed into the Atlantic.
Seneca's ancient law proved itself once again. One man mastered his own clock and his own mind. His quiet grit successfully defeated a loud, arrogant empire.
Berlin's toxic pride turned into a graveyard. The desperate need for immediate validation blinded their high command. Their golden dream of world conquest dissolved into decay.
Now, look at your own miserable routine. You fight a chaotic war inside your mind every day. yet you keep exploding at every small comment and insult.
You remain completely enslaved to weak instincts. You reveal your blind spots to your opponents instantly. You hand your enemy the remote control to your nervous system.
Change your internal temperature, starting today. Starve your attackers by denying them a reaction. Power does not care about your emotional outbursts. Break the vicious loop of reaction immediately. Do not condemn your future to your own ruins. Become the coldest, most silent man in the room.
Your mind possesses a dark, unmapped vulnerability. The urge to answer your enemy is a psychological self-sabotage. You are actively handing them the rope to hang your future. Seneca discovered that human panic is a profound addiction. Your brain falsely craves chaos to feel alive in a crowded room. True power begins when you completely starve that dangerous addiction. Look at Churchill's dark psychological calculation in the bunker. He knew that an unanswered enemy will eventually fight themselves. Silence forces your opponent to drown in their own toxic thoughts.
Modern psychology calls this specific strategy the black hole effect. When you completely absorb the attack without reflecting it, the attacker loses their mental balance. You become an unreadable, terrifying void to your enemy.
Your weakest point is the desperate desire to prove you are right. Arrogant people use your own ego as an open back door. Churchill never wasted time explaining his moves to his executioners.
Seneca explicitly warned that an unmanaged mind constructs its own prison. Every emotional reaction adds another heavy brick to your personal cell. You are voluntarily locked inside a cage of your own making.
Churchill used calmness as a brutal psychological weapon of mass destruction. While London bled, his cold heart rate systematically weaponized the ticking clock. He turned time into a lethal blade against Berlin. The deepest shadow in your soul is the fear of total isolation. True masters embrace the absolute coldness of the dark void. They transform their isolation into an impenetrable fortress of pure control.
Rule your mind, or your mind will aggressively ruin your destiny. Freeze the internal noise and lock the gates of your fortress today. Master the silence, and you master the entire world.
Stay cold. Stay dangerous. Absolute silence is your ultimate weapon.